So it's going to finally happen tonight. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Usyk for most of the heavyweight titles, for the unified heavyweight title. Obviously, Tyson Fury still has the WBC and Ring Magazine belt, but in terms of other than them two belts, and obviously you got the WBA regular or the WBA super champion or something like that. I think I don't know who holds that belt, but anyway, for all of the major titles, Usyk is going to fight Anthony Joshua, and I'm very much looking forward to this fight. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Joshua. I feel like he's done so much for British boxing in terms of putting it on the map. I mean, he's done things that are completely unprecedented. The 90,000 in Wembley, all of the stuff that he's done in terms of putting boxing on the map. I personally do want Anthony Joshua to win this fight. Now the reason is because I want to see the undisputed fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. I think them two fighting is a historic fight. That's such a big fight that I just don't want anything to get in the way of that happening. So even though I'm a huge fan of Usyk, and in my opinion he's a pound for pound top level heavyweight, in my opinion, I kind of want to see him lose so that we can see the undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I mean, imagine seeing Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in Wembley with 100,000 fans yelling, and both of them hold a version of the heavyweight title, and whoever wins that fight is the undisputed heavyweight champion, and is probably the best fighter in boxing to some extent, pound for pound. Because if you think about it, the heavyweight is the biggest fighter. If he has the title, he's the baddest man on the planet. I mean, he is the man. Back in the day, if you look at like Mike Tyson, when he was a heavyweight champion, he was considered the greatest fighter on the planet. Obviously, you got MMA now, so it's not quite the same. But the heavyweight title is the most valuable title in sports history, and whoever holds that title is to some extent the man. So, taking all of that into account, I want him to beat Usyk, so that he can fight Tyson Fury. But at the same time, I feel like Usyk has got a lot of things going for him that Anthony Joshua doesn't have. For one, he's southpaw, so that adds an awkward element to it. He's a small heavyweight, relatively speaking, to Anthony Joshua, and we all know Anthony Joshua has struggled against smaller heavyweights. I mean, when he fought Povetkin, if you ignore the scorecards and look at what actually happened in the fight and score that fight objectively, going into the 7th round or the 6th round, whenever the knockdown happened, I actually had Anthony Joshua losing to Povetkin. I had Povetkin up by 4 rounds, so I thought Anthony Joshua won 2 rounds and had Povetkin winning 4 rounds. And that's a small heavyweight. Another smaller heavyweight that he struggled with was Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz is obviously 6'4", while Anthony Joshua is 6'6", and we saw what Andy Ruiz did to him in their first fight. Obviously knocked him down 4 or 5 times, and obviously stopped him in the 7th round in New York. So taking all of that into account, I think the fact that Usyk is an awkward smaller heavyweight who's southpaw, who's got these angles, I mean, taking all of that into account, I think it's fair to say that I think Usyk is going to be a very tricky test for Anthony Joshua. So from that perspective, I just think, I think it's a great fight for Anthony Joshua to some extent. If he can beat Usyk, I think he's got probably the best resume in the heavyweight division. I know you got Tyson Fury, he's beaten Deontay Wilder, and also a Klitschko who was undefeated for 11 years in both of their backyards, and he completely dominated them. But if you're looking at back-to-back fights, I think Anthony Joshua's resumes, you can argue, is better than Tyson Fury's, because say what you like about Tyson Fury, but he's never defended his titles, and although he beat the best men, he never defended his titles against worthy opposition. If he was to beat a Dillian Whyte and several other good heavyweights that were undefeated, then I think it's undeniable that he's got a better resume than Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua has beaten like more fighters back to back, better fighters than I think Tyson Fury has. So from that perspective, you can say his resume is more consistent than Fury's. So in terms of what's going to happen in this fight, I'm going to completely sit on the fence. I'm not going to pick a winner, because I want to say Usyk would win, but I just don't feel like because he's fighting in Anthony Joshua's backyard, he's fighting in Tottenham. in Anthony Joshua's UK backyard, and everything's been set up for the undisputed fight to happen next. I think from that perspective, because Anthony Joshua's feeding a lot of people, he's obviously, there's a potential £200 million fight on the line, which is the undisputed fight with Tyson Fury. They're not going to screw that up by giving Usyk fair officiating and fair judging in this fight. So from that perspective, I think it's fair to say that Usyk is probably going to go up against it when it comes to the scorecards. Even if he wins every round, he's probably going to get robbed on the cards. I mean, it's unfair, it's unfortunate that this is the way the sport is, but it is what it is. So from that perspective, if they were to fight in neutral territory, or if they were to fight in Ukraine, then I would have went for Usyk to beat Anthony Joshua. But because Usyk is fighting in Anthony Joshua's backyard, and there's just so much on the line with this potential undisputed fight happening, I'm just going to say it's a 50-50, because I think Usyk does have the ability to hurt Anthony Joshua. But at the same time, he's in a position where he's going in there against the house fighter who has a machine behind him that want him to win so that he can fight Tyson Fury. And a huge super fight can happen between the two. So from that perspective, the reason why I'm sitting on the fence is, if it was any other situation, I would have picked Usyk to beat Anthony Joshua, but because he's fighting in his own hometown and he's going in there in the Lions Den against Anthony Joshua, I think there might be some funny business with the scorecards. And from that perspective, I have to sit on the fence, because I think if he was being 100% fair, then I have to give it to Usyk. But because it's in an awkward position where he's fighting in a man's hometown, and on top of that, the judges are going to be in AJ's back pocket, and they're going to be giving him, they're not going to give Usyk a fair shake. Let's just be real. I mean, just look at the Povetkin scorecards. Them scorecards were atrocious. I had Anthony Joshua losing up to that point, yet they had Anthony Joshua ahead. Look at the Vladimir Klitschko scorecards. Before the knockout happened, I actually had Klitschko ahead. I thought Klitschko was clearly outboxing Anthony Joshua before he got knocked out. So from that perspective, I don't think Usyk is going to get a fair shake when it comes to the cards. So I have to give it to Anthony Joshua. I think that's the reason why I'm leaning towards Anthony Joshua, because of the fact that he has this machine behind him. But Usyk, I think, has the ability to knock out Anthony Joshua, and I think Usyk has been in a position where he's fought in the opponent's backyard more than several times. He doesn't care, he'll do it. And the fact is, from that perspective, I think it's fair to say that Usyk knows that he's going to have to knock out Anthony Joshua to get the win. So that's why I'm going to sit on the fence, because I think Usyk has the ability to knock out Anthony Joshua, but at the same time, I think Usyk is in a position where he's fighting in the Lions Den, so it's not likely he's going to get the nod on the card if he wins. So that's why I'm sitting on the fence for this fight. Tell me what you think. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Do you think Usyk is going to win with his slick southpaw skills, or do you think Anthony Joshua, the house fighter who has the huge machine behind him, and also does have power and is a legitimate heavyweight force, he's got all them belts for a reason. He's beat legitimately good fighters to get to this position, and on top of that, he's an Olympic gold medalist himself, just like Usyk. So he does have skills, but I just think Usyk's got better skills. But I just don't think he's going to get a fair shake on the cards, because he's fighting in the opponent's hometown. So yeah, from that perspective, I just think Usyk is probably going to get robbed, which is unfortunate to say, but this is boxing, it is what it is. So yeah, tell me what you think below. Like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out, and I look forward to this fight that's coming up in a couple of hours. Peace.